Re-releases of older sports games aren't as common as you would think. Outside of a handful of classic games that have been re-released several times, it's not that common to see retro sports games be brought to modern consoles. That's why games like Accolade Sports Collection are so intriguing. This collection brings together 5 classic sports games from the 1990s. The games were all originally published by Accolade, a video game publisher that was eventually bought out in the late 90s. The 5 games are Hardball, Hardball 2, Summer Challenge, Winter Challenge, and Hoops, Shut Up and Jam. So, do these games hold up after all these years? Let's find out as we take a look at Accolade Sports Collection.
Sports Gamers Online is the #1 source for the sports gamer.
We'll start with the first game in the collection to be released, Hardball. The game was originally released on the Commodore 64 in 1985. However, the version included in this collection is the 1991 Sega Genesis version. Gameplay in Hardball is enjoyable and works very well. The perspective is from the outfield for both pitching and hitting, similar to actual MLB broadcasts. When batting, you can move your hitter around the batter's box, which will affect the trajectory of their swing. On the mound, you can use directional buttons to select your pitch and aim where you want to throw it. Your pitcher's statistics, as well as where you aim your pitch, will determine the probability of your pitch being called a ball or a strike. Trying to throw on the corners of the strike zone will greatly increase your chances of throwing a ball. One thing I really liked was that when you give up a hit on defense, the announcer would call out which defender you were controlling. This is really necessary because otherwise it would be next to impossible to see what player you're moving around on defense. Let's move on to Hardball 2, which was originally released in 1989. I originally thought it was weird that 2 of the 5 games included in this collection were baseball games, instead of swapping one of them out for another sports game that Accolade published. However, the gameplay between the 2 games seems different enough to warrant both being included. So what are those differences? In Hardball 2, the perspective when hitting is switched to behind home plate, which is more typical with most baseball video games. The visuals are much different from the first game. There's also now a graphic in the bottom left of the screen showing the positioning of both the pitch and your swing. There are also 5 different types of swings that you can choose from. However, there are a lot of ways that Hardball 2's gameplay is worse than the original Hardballs. The main detraction is defense. Now, when a ball is hit, you don't get a zoomed-in view of where the ball is going. You instead have a zoomed-out view of the entire field, including all 9 fielders. You also no longer have the announcer calling out which fielder you are controlling. You now have a blue flashing indicator on the body of the fielder you're controlling. This indicator is very hard to see and can make fielding very difficult. The worst part about fielding is how the game decides which fielder you control. On a ground ball, it'll assign you to the closest player to the ball as soon as it's hit, which is usually the pitcher. As the ball rolls through the infield, you'll be switched automatically to other infielders. That is, unless you started to move the pitcher towards the ball. In that case, you'll be stuck as the pitcher with no way to change to another fielder as you chase the ball through the infield. So instead of running towards the ball as soon as you can, you instead need to wait for it to roll to another fielder so that you can be switched to him in order to make the play. It got very frustrating very fast. Now on to Hoops, Shut Up and Jam, which was originally released in 1994 for the Sega Genesis under the name Barkley Shut Up and Jam. This original version featured NBA All-Star Charles Barkley as the cover athlete as well as a playable character. After the licensing deal with Barkley expired, he was replaced by the character Joe Hoops, and the title was changed to Hoops, Shut Up and Jam. This is the version that's included in this collection. Hoops, Shut Up and Jam is exactly what it was in 1994 when it originally released. A passable NBA Jam clone, which serves as a good addition to this collection. It's 2-on-2 basketball with high-flying dunks, a turbo system that recharges over time, and no fouls. There are several different street ball courts that you can play on throughout the country. The game also has 16 characters to choose from, each with their own style and attributes. I did find that Joe Hoops and Spike are 2 very overpowered characters, so if you can, make sure you get one of them on your team. The last 2 games are the incredibly similar Winter Challenge and Summer Challenge. These are 2 Olympic-style games, including events from both the Summer and Winter Olympics. I had a lot of fun with Winter Challenge. The events were fun, but still quite challenging. The length of many of the races made them more of a test of endurance for how long you could make it without crashing or falling over. Summer Challenge, on the other hand, was the clear low point of this collection. While a couple of the events like bike racing and archery were fun, The rest were just awful to play. This is mainly due to the broken controls. I was constantly having inputs either not register or be delayed so badly I felt like I had no control over what was happening. The pole vault in particular was painful. No matter when I started placing my pole and when I let go, I could never get a single successful vault. Overall, Summer Challenge was a hard to control, laggy experience that really stood out from the rest of the quality in the collection. The presentation options in Accolade Sports Collection were pretty straightforward for a collection like this. For all 5 of the games, you had the option to play them in the original 4x3, stretched to fit the screen, as well as in full screen. You can change the background behind the gameplay, as well as equip a number of graphical filters. I originally went with the CRT filter since that's how these games were originally intended to look. However, for some reason this filter cut off some of the screen in the corners, which in games like Hardball 2 cut off necessary information. I've never seen a CRT filter do this before, so I was pretty confused by why this filter blocked so much of the screen. Performance-wise, the game ran and played perfectly. I reviewed this game on the PlayStation 5 and didn't notice any issues with the emulation during my time with the game. The sound and music all sounded great, and I didn't encounter any bugs or issues. Accolade Sports Collection is a good time if you like these type of retro sports games. If you grew up on or played these games back when they first released in the 90s, you'll enjoy the nostalgic trip down memory lane. For newcomers though, there is a chance that the older controls and gameplay might not hold up to modern expectations. However, for the $20 price tag, I feel like this will be a pretty easy pickup for many retro gamers. Well, that's going to do it for this video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave it a like and also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. And for all your sports gaming news and updates, stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.